Hello, my love. Good morning to you. I hope that this finds you well. I hope that you are excited about your day. I'm trying to imagine you now, perhaps sitting somewhere, and I couldn't imagine whether there's daylight or not in this image I have of you in my head. But wherever you are sitting, and whether it is daylight or still dark, I hope that you are well. I was thinking about looking to the past, and that one should look to the past for understanding and not for blame. And this comes up when I was thinking about parenting in particular, and how things did or did not go well with you. And there were times in my life when I would question, if not chastise, myself for my role as a parent and the actions that I took. And eventually I reached a point where I began to understand that it was not useful for me to beat myself up for the things that I thought I may have done wrong, but rather, if I was going to engage in the endeavor of looking backward and thinking about what had happened and perhaps why or what the effects may or may not have been, it is much better to look to the past for understanding, to understand my own actions, especially in terms of how I might want to modify them, to look at it to understand why you are the way you are, perhaps. The danger is looking back and then forming the single story of why we act the way we do. But if you're going to engage in that endeavor, I think it's much more fruitful to have a purpose that will lead to understanding or change, but not to blame. Tied into this is this idea of, when I think about trauma and childhood trauma, especially in infancy, and here I'm talking perhaps from age 0 to 3 or thereabouts, and I struggle when I think about how I dealt with your colic, and wishing that I had at times more patience or more reserves. And I think that that didn't get me anywhere. And it was much better to look back and go, okay, here was the scenario, and in certain senses it was what it was, and my capacity was what it was at the time. But to trust that there was love there, which there was, and to understand and accept my own limits as a father, and to be okay with that, and to just maybe get a sense of understanding or acceptance, but not to beat myself up. And I say this to you because no matter what we do as parents, there will always be things that we will question or wonder whether we are taking the right action. And whether the action is right or not will itself depend on what lens you are using to view the results. Nothing is good or bad in and of itself. It depends on the paradigm through which you're viewing it. And when I look back and think, about my role as a parent, aside from thinking of it very warmly and thinking of you as I always do, I think that it is much better to do it with a sense of peace and understanding and love. And so I offer this as a guiding principle for you not to beat yourself up should you have children, but to know, as odd as it sounds, that you're doing the best you can in the moment, to allow for forgiveness, to know to lead with love, and to do that to the best of your ability. And to let go and enjoy it, as I did. So I will leave you with that, and a recommendation to check out the music of Leon Bridges, whose work I thoroughly enjoyed, as you know, and to recommend that perhaps you take a look at the book The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand or Ayn Rand, depending on how you pronounce it. I'll have more on that, but it's worth a look. I love you.